And we are at the intersection this morning, and our briefing is going to be on FeedSA. And I'm excited to hear about it. We've got some advanced lead on it this year, so more people can become involved. And so I'm also excited about that. One thing I wanted to show you this morning, I'm going to go on screen. At Sacred, in case you don't know, they power at the intersection. And so Bill or Billy, and Billy's with us today, they help to run the technology, which has probably gone a lot smoother than when I used to run it. But they also record all of these sessions and other things as well. So, I mean, we just started doing this, though, this last summer. So if you are more new to this or you're wanting to share it with someone else, you can share this link of where you can find all of the recordings. And so if somebody wanted a really good overall briefing of what we're doing in our mutual service and work, they could go there and get all the updates from this last summer where all the different collaboratives. So there's one here in homelessness, sacred, food security. Then we had ARPA funds. Kara Allen was here, mental health, Compassionate San Antonio. We had some updates from leaders, resiliency hubs, immigration. So you can kind of see housing, what this intersection brings together. So this past week ago, Thursday, there was an all-day event on domestic violence prevention via the faith community. And so all of it is there. If you weren't able to come, I highly recommend at least turning it on and listening while you're doing other work. But you can also find like segments of it where someone's telling their story about how their daughter died, or someone is telling the story as a clergy, a faith leader. They address and talk about domestic violence in their congregation. And last week was on communities of welcome. It was brought to us by Nader and Enrica. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And if you aren't able to come sometime, Sacred normally posts a recording within a day or two. So, you know, you'd need to wait a wee bit to see what happened on a given Thursday, but it's there. And it's not just there for your viewing, but for you to take it to others that you lead and serve and be able to share that information with them. Are there any other announcements that anyone would like to share? And if you do, just feel free. Okay, I guess not, and that's just fine. I don't know about you.
Ann?
Yes?
Okay, sorry, I had an issue. This is Donna with NAMI Bridges to Care.
Hey, Donna.
And I wanted to announce some exciting news. We're getting ready to launch our youth track starting next month in March. We're going to be doing mindfulness, teaching youth self-regulation skills, as well as the adults that work with them to be able to support them in being able to interrupt that alarm and be able to maintain personal control. So we're excited to announce that. So be on the lookout for our newsletter because it'll also be in our newsletter.
Awesome. I'm so glad that NAMI and Bridges to Care are picking up a youth track. That's, as we all know, very, very needed. Lauren, have I lost? Oh, no, there's Michael. Okay, good. For a minute, I couldn't find you in the list, Michael. Thanks for announcing that, Donna. One of the things I've been doing these last couple weeks, and many of you know this, when we're trying to get community thinking together, working together. We like to think that, you know, technology will take care of all of that for us. You know, like we send out a mass email, everybody knows. We could all raise our hand now and also say, how many of us know that's not true, right? So in terms of community, organizing, uniting, working together, communicating together, there is some other harder work. But it's kind of old school, and it's one-to-one things that just need to happen to get that glue going. And so one of those things I brought up last week, and I've been doing it the last couple of weeks, is asking everybody to grab a pen, old school, and a piece of paper to the side, and trying to get people thinking and doing our mutual work to make this intersection even have more impact and reach even more people. So I'm going to do that again today, and then I'm going to hand this over to Michael. I invite you on that piece of paper to think right now, who are your networks? Who are your key colleagues? This might be 1 to 2. There could be 6 to 10 on this list.
Good morning.
And if you were really like, we're going to be talking about FeedSA, who, when we get done with this, are you going to contact about this information? And when I send out an e-notification each week for At the Intersection, the minute you get that notification, you're going to go to that list and forward it on to all of them once you get the notification. So make that list. I have one of those lists, and it's got a couple dozen networks and people on it, and they're different. I have different categories as well, but I have that list always available so that when I forward things on, I don't have to rethink. I know exactly who I'm going to send that information to, and that I can do that in less than 30 seconds. So I invite you to do that. And now I'm going to hand this over to Michael Gatta with the food bank. And he's going to be telling us about FeedSA, and I think Damaris maybe is adding in. So it's all yours, Michael. Thanks for doing this.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Ann, and hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Michael Gatta. I'm the Chief Resource Officer at the San Antonio Food Bank, and Damaris Fike, who I think all of you probably know, is on the great team over at City Church, but also leads FeedSA for our incredible community. So we're going to tag team a little this morning. I'm going to start off and hand off to her. My colleague Lauren Deal has prepared some slides for Damaris and I, and is going to throw those up on the screen here. I thought if you'd just join me for a minute, just I've been trying to practice more and more, starting my morning just with an intention to anchor my day, to anchor my spirit. And so I'm just going to invite you just to sit quietly with me for a little less than a minute, and just reflect on that intention that's going to anchor your spirit and your day today. All right, thank you. Thank you for doing that with me and for taking that moment to together, just anchoring our spirit in an intention. So again, really grateful that you're giving Damaris and I and Lauren Deal, who's working behind the scenes, a few minutes this morning to share some about FeedSA. FeedSA is a community-wide food and fund drive, an opportunity to engage in volunteerism, and really an opportunity to collectively help set the table in the spring for the households and individuals that are facing hunger in our community, that will live in food insecure households. And so I have 4 slides, not too many, and then Damaris is going to take it home after that. So Lauren, you want to advance to the next one for us, please? Thank you. Part of my quiet time this morning was reflecting a little bit just on the nature of compassion, and you all, I know, connect on this regularly, and Ann leads the way when it comes to that, and us being a compassionate city. But that compassion, is probably really grounded in some concrete actions, whether it's personal actions like forgiveness, our ability to listen, but maybe more corporately or collectively in concrete actions like being able to nourish and share food. These quotes here are from great religions across our world and anchor the thinking and the spirit of those who follow in making sure that those who are without have, in this case, that they have food. And so I think, I wanted to just level set that, for our interfaith work at the San Antonio Food Bank, we really feel like there's the perfect intersection of the faith communities when it comes to food. If I'm remembering right, way back from seminary days, the etymology of religion has to do with binding back together. The ligament word is kind of a part of religion, to bind back together. And the binding probably happens very well with food. And so the ability of our interfaith community in San Antonio to come together around food, one, to celebrate and learn about each other, but then also to collect that food, whether it's collecting it through a unique food pantry effort at that particular congregation, or in this case, collectively bringing food and funds and volunteerism together to support your San Antonio Food Bank that's then going to bless and share that food with food pantries and shelters throughout the region. You all may not know this. We were born in 1980 and really from the religious leadership of the community. It was people at the time like Buckner Fanning and Louis Abendon and Archbishop Flores who helped found the San Antonio Food Bank in the late 1970s with our first executive director in 1980. And she was a Catholic nun. And so we have roots very much in the faith community, as do many food banks across the United States. And so we're excited about FeedSA this year and the continued partnership. So Lauren, you want to advance to the next one? FeedSA is in the spring for a couple of reasons. One, just there's a lot of, I think, impetus from the spirit and religion side to think about food in the spring harvest. But particularly for us, it positions us right ahead of the time of our highest need. And I'd say ours, the San Antonio Food Bank is, of course, always trying to help those in their season of need when it comes to food. But that season changes for many households when the summer comes. And those low-income households that have kids who are in school who are getting a free or reduced breakfast and lunch at school, they're going to miss that during the summer. And so you can see a little bit of the math up there. There are roughly 200,000 students who get a free reduced breakfast and lunch at school during the school year. Well, they're going to miss 2 meals a day times the 5 days in a week times the 10 weeks of summer. They're going to perhaps be at risk for a 20 million meal gap in the summer. So FeedSA is that effort to collect those food and funds and strengthen volunteerism to, in a sense, create the wave that's going to support us in really trying to make sure that no child goes hungry in the summer. So that's why it's positioned here. It's partly about spring harvest and just the themes of spring harvest across religions, but also really to create a wave of generosity and compassion and concretely of food and funds to help us meet that summer need. Lauren? All right, so you all hear my partner in good and our CEO, Eric Cooper, a lot when he's on television or radio or just speaking in your congregations about how $1 provides 7 meals or 10 pounds of food. Our efficiencies are pretty unique. That's often because the food is donated and we're just paying for transportation. And so we really feel like we can be the best source of low cost and no cost food for our partners, whether they're food pantries and churches or shelters, those shelters for children or women or the homeless. They can access our inventory. And then so all of what we collect becomes available for those partners. And so whether you're collecting real food from food barrels in a food drive, or whether you're collecting dollars, they both make a difference. And the dollar actually probably goes a little bit further. When you and I go to Costco or to HEB or someplace to shop, our dollar is going to do what it does at the retail level. But when the dollar comes to the food bank instead, we're able to maximize that and provide 10 pounds of food. And so we do see in many of the efforts that are collecting food across the community, an effort to add in the funds part of that just because of the food bank's ability to be very efficient. All right, Lauren, next one. I'm going to turn this over to Damaris in a minute, but my inspiration, it's incredible who inspires us to do our work. And many times it's the recipients of the food. It's those who face food insecurity and are at risk for hunger that their spirit of kindness and gratitude urges us on to be our best and to set the table for the community. But I wanted to just highlight two little hunger fighters. I thought, probably would have been appropriate to highlight Red McCombs and all his work, of course, but he's getting lots of accolades this week, deservedly so, for what he's done. And he did a ton for those facing hunger as well over the years. But Rowan Wyndham, who's on your screen on the left, and Bella Keith on the right, just real quick, I met both of these two young people when they were third graders. Little Bella, she showed up at the food bank one day, and I got a call from the reception desk, like, "Hey, Mr. Guerra, there's a food drive person here, and they just want to hand off their food. Can you come talk to them?" And I went up to the reception desk. I'm like, "Well, where are they?" And then I hear from underneath the, almost kind of behind the desk, "I'm here." And I look over the desk, and there's little Bella, and she's waving at me. She's like, "Hi, I'm Bella. I'm 8. And I'm like, "Oh, hi, Bella. I'm Michael, and I'm not 8. And she's like, "And there's my dad. He's over there." And he's sitting in the chair, and he's like, "He had to drive because I collected food and we filled his car." I'm like, "That's awesome, Bella." So she tells me the story. She's like, "Hey, I had a birthday. I turned 8, and I'd heard about the summer need. And so I said, don't bring presents, bring food instead. And we're going to feed the community with my birthday party." And so her dad had collected food from the kids who came to her birthday party, and it was amazing. And we took a picture, and on we went. And I thought, what a fabulous young woman. And next year, literally a year later, I happened to be at my desk again when the receptionist called and says, "Hey, you remember that little girl, that one who did the food drive last year for her birthday? Well, she's back." I'm like, "Okay." So go out this time, and there's Bella. She's a little taller and a year older. She's like, "Hi, I'm Bella. I'm 9. I'm like, "Oh, Bella, great to see you again." And she's like, "Well, Mr. Guerra, I turned 9 and I didn't do a birthday party for food this year. Instead, I got my whole class at school, and we collected food for the food bank. There's Mom and Dad. Both of them had to come this time because we collected 2 carloads of food." I'm like, "You're amazing. Like, you're incredible." So we take pictures, off we go, and she's inspiring me. About halfway through the year, December, get a call from Bella and her mom, like, "Hey, Bella has an idea for her birthday and coming up this summer, and she wants to get her entire school to collect food for the food bank." And so she literally, it was like she had her own PR team. She takes a picture in front of an 18-wheeler that she, tells the school she's going to fill up. And for her birthday, the school literally stuffed the truck full of food. That year, Bella received our Hunger Fighter of the Year award for food as a 10-year-old. And just it continues to be an inspiration to me today. Rowan Wyndham, many of you know Rowan's story. Rowan passed away a few years ago, but I met him when he was 8, when he was at Methodist Children's Hospital. And we were doing a cereal drive for the summer, and Rowan just was so sick that he actually could never eat cereal. But he said, "You know what? I've been hearing about this cereal drive. So anybody who comes to see me in the hospital, they have to bring a box of cereal." And during that stay, he literally collected more than 1,000 cereal boxes just in a little drive in a week. I met him for the first time that time. He was 8. And over the next 3 years, the momentum built. And Rowan, even when he wasn't in the hospital, when he was still home, started collecting food for the Children's Hospital food drive. Well, Rowan did pass, and Methodist Children's Hospital renamed their cereal drive in his memory, in his name. And it's incredible, that legacy that lives on. And now they're collecting well over, you can see some of the totals there. I think it's 275,000 servings at the most recent effort that they did. So 2 kids who started at the age of 8 and were just incredible hunger fighters. Rowan also received the Hunger Fighter of the Year award from the San Antonio Food Bank and from the New Braunfels Food Bank. He lived in New Braunfels. So if these 2 guys can do it, they inspire me, then I know that all of us here today can help to feed SA. And to tell you more about how to feed SA is our partner in good, Dominique Fike.
And those are some beautiful stories of just what some impact, even it may seem small to them or to others, but it makes a huge impact. And I think of what our faith communities can do. Like, we are propelled by our faith and our love for humanity. And so what I've seen the past now 14 years through FeedSA, this is our 14th year, is we see what we call champions. These are individuals, businesses, and faith communities. So places of worship stepping up to help feed San Antonio. And so we call these people champions, and we're hoping that today that you will choose to be a champion. And you may say, well, what does a champion do? And Lauren, if you want to go to that slide, we ask champions to commit to give food, time, money, or voice towards our fight against hunger. And we ask everyone to give voice. Like you have a voice, whether, in person or on social media. You have ways to talk about the work of the San Antonio Food Bank and what they're doing to fulfill the need. But in addition, we're asking champions to give either food by hosting a drive, or give time by participating in our curated volunteer events, or to raise and donate money. So give money. And you can register as an individual champion. So say you and your family want to do that within your neighborhood, or the place you work out, or somewhere like that. But we're also calling in specifically this group, your places of worship, and asking you to step up and be a champion partner and doing that. And the thing with FeedSA, and often when we get to meet with folks, Lauren and I will hear it's such an easy thing to do. Joining FeedSA, one, the cause, all of you guys are behind it. We're all behind ensuring that children eat. But secondly, FeedSA, we've set it up so that way it's super easy for you. And so as a champion, you'll receive some different perks, if you will, or resources. One of the things is we invite people to our champion rally, which this year will be April 1st, where we get to meet at the food bank. We get to hear an update of the work that they're doing in our community, and an update on the need. As we know, SNAP benefits are ending, or COVID relief, or school getting out in the summer. These needs change within our community. And so it's always great, whether we are part of FeedSA or just as a person in our community, to have the knowledge of where the need is in food insecurity within our city. And so you get invited to that champion rally where you receive tangible items, marketing material for however you choose to be a champion and how you live that out. And then you have access to digital resources. And so as your place of worship, if you have a social media, you'll get graphics to help you promote whatever drive or fundraiser you're doing, or to promote volunteer events. You have access to the files for the print material and videos of stories of people impacted by the work of the food bank. And of course, we have volunteer opportunities kind of lined up for FeedSA to help people get connected, whether it's in the urban farm or in the warehouse or Haven for Hope. We create this list of FeedSA opportunities to serve alongside the food bank. And then you get to connect with the fellow hunger fighters. And I think what a beautiful representation of what our faith community is about, and what, this group specifically has been doing for almost 3 years. You guys started in a time of need, and not only did you guys meet to talk about it, but you guys put action to it. You guys collected and made and donated masks. You guys helped with the congregational vaccination clinics. You guys in this group have done so much to impact our city. And so we're calling on you again to do it through helping to feed our neighbors. And what's really awesome about this is not only do you get to help on a large scale, and we know that you're helping the city. If we are really honest, I think we can find food insecurity within our own pews, within our own mosque and temples, where the person sitting next to us could be facing food insecurity. And so as we do this, yes, we're keeping our city in mind, but we're also keeping our neighbor, our fellow congregant, our person that is within our place of worship in mind. And I think another benefit, aside from meeting this need within our city, is you're able to unleash the potential and the purpose of the people that attend your place of worship. I know one day as we were collecting at my congregation, we were collecting our food, and this lady comes and she opens her trunk and gets box after box to take out of her trunk. And I said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And she stopped me and she said, no, Damaris, thank you. Thank you for asking us to do this. And I believe there are many people in our congregations, in our places of worship, that are saying, ask me to rise up and I will do it. Because what we know about the people in San Antonio, about the people of faith, is that they will rise up to the occasion. And so I'm asking you guys today to consider becoming a FeedSA champion, and that is by hosting a drive, by collecting food and funds and giving time. And it could look different for every congregation, but we ask you to be a part of that. And if you have any questions, I'll add my email in there as well, and Lauren. But we really hope you will join us in feeding our city this summer. And so our campaign is running from April 15th through June 15th. And so congregations are picking, certain timeframes within that to join us in this. And so, yeah, I'll put the links in the comments. And then if you guys have any questions, I think we may have some time for some questions, Anne. Oh, you're muted.
I was trying to keep the sound factor down for everybody. We are close to 8:30, so I'm just going to pause since we had a natural pause that for those who might need to leave at 8:30, thank you for being with us. Next week, our briefing is going to be about FeedSA Community Collaborative. It's our newest and youngest collaborative afoot, and there's a lot of people involved. So I hope you come next week. It's about the environment, sustainability, climate change, what we can each and all be doing in that. So I hope you join us next week. Just go ahead and raise a hand if you have any questions. I was going to ask you to repeat the dates, and then you just did that, Damaris, right at the end. So April 15th, I don't know if that's tax day this year or not, but April 15th through June 15th. What I love about what you all shared, and I put it in chat, but thank you for the stories, but they also give us great ideas. And I am just so inspired by the children's stories. And maybe that's also because of my faith tradition, but I don't think it's just mine. But I really look to our young to lead us. And when my grandchildren tell me something about caring for the earth or whatever it might be, I not only think it's like endearing when they do that, but I listen to them. What they tell me, I know is a truth that I might not be aware of or asleep to, right? So I really appreciate those examples from the children, and that these could be food drives in our congregations, but it can also be in your neighborhood. One other thing, I'm going to go back to the old school, our work, ongoing work with that pen and piece of paper to the side. We started with networks and colleagues to contact, but I want to invite everybody to think about the one thing they're going to do with this information of FeedSA today. Who are you going to talk to about it at your congregation or organization? When we get off of this call, who are you going to go and talk to about it? And does that include not only a colleague or a network, but maybe a family member or a neighbor? And I invite everybody to think about that for a minute and to write it down. My daughter and her family live 6 doors down from me. So I'm writing down on my list that I'm going to talk to soon to be 6-year-old tomorrow. I'm going to talk to my grandson, Jack. and see if he can help me figure out something we could do together as a family or just on our block, because we live 6 houses apart. So what would that look like? What could we do? And I'm also going to talk to, well, of course, I'm going to feed out the information to our faith network through the initiative. So yeah, that's on my old school list. That's where I'm going to start. And I hope everybody else is writing down their next step starting points. Any other thoughts or comments? Were there questions? Thoughts in the chat? You guys are just so good at everything you do.
There was a question about HEB donating. Norma asked, does HEB donate their extra food to the food bank on a regular basis? I didn't know, Michael, if you wanted to answer that, or
I think he did.
oh, okay,
Michael.
just kidding, not keeping up. Thank you.
No, that's right. Yeah, the answer is yes. Every day and extra in the summer. Their HEB leads the way for sure.
Mhm. There's also about Walmart and Sam's. I mean, it's good to know that these big places are doing that, but you know, the whole world spins when we are all doing it, right? Really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, you know, so many of those folks who are at the receiving dock of a Walmart or a Trader Joe's, Costco, now there are also people in you know, in our pews. They're people of faith, and they really want to take extra care of that food that can come to those who are facing hunger. And so they're working with the different managers in the different parts of their store to collect as much as they. That food bank truck shows up, or when our pantry partner shows up for that food, that they maximize that, and that it's still in an edible fashion. So yeah, great. Every food partner that's a grocery store and then other restaurants and things, they're all leaning in every day. And then we get extra love in the summer from HEB for sure.
Well, and one of the things about FeedSA that's also great for the rest of us who are listening in are all the materials that were sent and given that we can utilize in sending out. We don't have to figure that all out. What's the best shopping list? What are the things that are most needed? And all of that. And for the Christians among us, yesterday, this is Thursday. Yeah, yesterday was Ash Wednesday, and Lent has begun. And it can be a part of the Lenten practice. Even, you know, skipping a meal once a week, and what groceries that you would have purchased for yourself to set that aside for someone else. There's so many creative ways to do this, and to bring 1, then 2, then 3 carloads full of food to the food bank.
Yeah, and there was a question, Sammy, who's on our interfaith committee at the San Antonio Food Bank, and I want to give a shout out to the folks on our the call today that are part of that, including Damaris, Sammy, Anne, and Mignon. Thank you for your service. But the question was, can we start our drive before April 15th? And I think the benefit and the flexibility of FeedSA is that we know that each congregation is different. So many congregations choose to do a one-time drive, like a food and fun drive. And so that culminates on a single day, and they build it up to a one day. Some people choose to do 2 weeks. We're just asking that you finish up so we can share our date or share our final numbers by June 17th. So
David, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. You know, first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone that actually does this type of work, because I know it takes a lot of effort. And not only the effort, it also takes a lot of compassion to be able to do this. I think the question that I have and the topic that I'm going to bring up is going to be a bit in the minutia of probably operations. And I bring this up because, you know, during the summer months, West Care, Texas, we do sponsor approximately 200 children. And out of the 200 children, I would say there's about 90% that does have food insecurities. One of the areas that we were looking at in terms of provisioning food to the individuals with these food insecurities is, yes, we are giving to these individuals and to the families and to the parents. quite a bit of time. And you have to excuse me, I'm trying to measure my words to make sure I maintain political correctness here. I think what ends up occurring is I would say that the food that we provide would be either expired or subpar. And it wasn't on just one occasion, and it's not from SA Food or Food Bank. It's just whenever we get drives and or food donated, we want to make sure that we maintain some level of quality control so that the families that we do provide for doesn't get into a situation where they said they're supposed to be grateful for receiving this nourishment, but then at the same time, they go back home and they're like, man, can I eat this? This thing is like, 4 or 5 months old. That's been something that's been coming really, head to my mind and our organization as we do provide. And I'm sure that that's something that the food bank and SA Food, probably addresses. And we on the East Side has just been, unfortunate here and there. It's just something that I want us to keep in mind, that we do not want to, create this level of or remove some level of dignity from individuals just because they are receiving food and help from their fellow brothers and sisters, that we still do provide them with food that we ourselves would eat. I would just hope that we would maintain that. I didn't mean to be a downer. I apologize. I see the faces on the screen and people are like, is this guy really saying this? And I apologize. It's not to take away, once again, the hard effort, the magnanimous efforts that every organization is doing. It's just asking that we do maintain some level of quality assurance. That's all. But
Yeah,
thank
hey,
you.
let me just. Yeah, David, nice to meet you. And we'll make sure Lauren follows up with you from our team. We certainly have some messaging. It's common what you're saying. So Lauren can help you with messaging, maybe even a little training that will allow you to also work with the kids and families in the summer in a better way when it comes to how to handle food that might be expired. And there's a difference between an expired food and expired maybe from the use by date and then food that's bad, right? Food that is spoiled, no matter whether we've all seen food that's spoiled before the use by date or the sell by date. And so, smell, taste, and just visual, all of those things are important when it comes to food. And so if it smells good, looks good, tastes good, it's probably good no matter what the date is. But we have guidelines that we follow here when it comes to non-perishable kind of shelf-stable food items. So canned goods or beans or those kind of things, cereals. Most of them are good years past. Those sell by dates, part of that's a marketing effort from our friends in the food industry. Part of it, some foods do lose a little bit of freshness or taste, but they are still good to eat. They've just lost a little bit of the overall kind of quality or freshness, but they're still good. So Lauren can follow up with you there. It's something that, I've been doing this for 19 years, and it's something that we face, every day. And we just want to help our families and our households understand that. Ideally, that's why we help enroll people in SNAP as well. So folks that are food insecure, if we can get them the SNAP benefit that allows them to use real money in the grocery store to help to set the table, then that's one of the best things we can do also. So, but yeah, I know Lauren's got a note to follow up with you. And if anybody else is in a similar kind of feeding effort during the year, during the summer, and want some support with that, please reach out to Lauren Deal from our team and she can get you connected up.
I'm also thinking, and I'm sure all of this can be found like on the food bank website, resources and things like that. But Lauren, maybe a packet put together, excuse me, for folks at the intersection, just on the things that we've talked about, and maybe the basic flyer on FeedSA, but not the everything packet. I mean, because I know you have so many resources, but a real basic packet, and then I can send that out to everyone at the intersection for them to use that, as well as the larger faith network. And then all those folks who receive it, they can also send it to their networks and colleagues as well. Mm-hmm. Would that be possible to kind of put a packet together? Great. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? I'll let you know next week what Jack and I decide. I will do that. we'll do that.
I just
I
kind of
mean,
want to
what?
piggyback off of what David said. I think in the essence of what you're communicating was just how we love people well. And I think that's beautiful, because if there's any group that knows how to love people, it's you guys on the opposite side of the screen. And so yeah, it moved me, David, just of what you're sharing is how do we, and that's our theme for this year, is setting the table. How do we set a table for those in need within our city? And it would be, think about it, of inviting people into your own home. What would you want them to eat? What meal would you want them to share? And I'm excited to see what this group will do to do that, because I know that your hearts are there to love our city and love humanity.
I think that's a perfect stop
Perfect
for
wrap.
our time together today. Thank you, Food Bank, for being just leaders, strong leaders in our community. I just think you're walking on water all the time. So thank you for what you're doing. And we're all here to support that and add to it and strengthen it. Because it does all boil down to, you know, that ethic of reciprocity known as the golden rule, to feed others, right? The way we wish to be fed. And a little bit of David in there, and not to feed others in ways we would not wish to be fed, right? It goes both ways. So thank you all for all you do in our community and making it as compassionate as we can be. I hope you have great days and beautiful weekends, and I will see you next Thursday at the intersection. Thanks so much.